Tian
I'm just
has
gonna
not
say,
lost his Viego.
I'm not gonna stop Viego first pick coming out. I still feel like it's, you know, just one of the best champions on this patch, right?
Oh, yeah.
Viego, Ziggs, Xin Zhao are the ones that come to mind. I feel like one thing that really hurts WE massively is the champions they have to ban, because Beishang, not really a Lee Sin player. It's why WE have had to ban that one consistently. But moving back over to the picks, we were highlighting the 3 champions that WE is proficient on. The Ryze going to be the thing to come out for Shanks this time around. Ryze having a lot of potential to move around the map as well. Great gank setup coming in with that Xin Zhao, so really strong mid-jungle 2v2. And I know Munchables remembers it. We saw some amazing Realm Warp plays coming out from WE in their series up against Edward Gaming.
It's been as good as his LeBlanc in a very different way, but as good. So Shanks on this champion gives a bit of life to WE while FPX run it back. This is what we saw in the LNG series, Lwx. They just kept running the same composition. Lwx Aphelios, yes please.
They're just going to be on stock in standard comfort. This has been where Lwx has gone time and time again. Chris back on the Thresh. And this is what we were thinking of for Elk as well, right? It might not be the greatest time down in the bot lane into either champion, but it would give him comfort. Instead, gonna go against it, right? He is gonna value more of the set laning matchup. And again, Ezreal into Aphelios and Thresh, really not that good, but still going back to the Varus, wanting to have that strong laning phase. And now for WE, I wouldn't be surprised to want to see them ban out things like the Kennen coming through. Again, we're looking at big AP threats that the side of FPX are able to pick up. When it comes to mid lane for Doinb, I think you're also looking at something like the Orianna able to come out as Stake showing a bit of respect to missing.
Just in case.
Didn't hit every rocket grab, but he did hit some.
You know, that's nice, considering that there were a couple of picks that probably would have annoyed the hell out of Tian. I like that WE on the other side, though, have just gotten rid of both globals. Twisted Fates first, just in case they wanted to run it with the Galio. Doinb won't have that option.
Yeah, it seems like what they're saying is it doesn't really matter too much about the lane matchup. They are way more afraid of the way that FPX are able to play the map, right? Because FPX always able to pick up something strong in lane against Ryze, like the Orianna that we highlighted can always be a potential of coming out now for the side of FPX. You're going to opt into another support ban, so Leona going to be the thing to go down. This is a decent matchup for Thresh, but at level 6, there is some potential there with the ultimate to try and outplay. And now for WE, we highlighted earlier on that Rel into potential long-range compositions that Aphelios sets up can be quite rough. So I don't think there's an obvious answer where you go with support. Something like the Nautilus is always available, but we haven't really seen Nautilus throughout playoffs. And they don't care. They don't care if FPX can try and build a composition against this. They feel like it's the only option left available.
Because they're doing that. I mean, you've got the Jayce just picked up, and now we're going to see what Doinb gets, because against the Ryze, Lyric, quickly, what do you want to see?
I was going to say Victor and Orianna are the two that come to my mind, right? Either of them in lane are going to be able to do decently up against the Ryze. Orianna, of course, being a champion that Doinb's picked up more recently in his career, to where Victor being an old favorite, actually being his most played. You do not have the greatest ball setup, but still Viego able to close the gap. But FPX have answered the composition. You have mid/low range and mid lane coming out from the Ryze. You have missing on the Rel, who's going to have to expend Flash to be able to find these engages. And now, there we go, the Wukong coming out. It's going to thread everything together. This is going to be your champion that has to be able to find its way onto the backline coming out from FPX. Wukong's going to be the setup. Maybe you can use Realm Warp to kind of push that forward, and then the other members following through, because if not, FPX will always keep you at arm's length and they will always win out.
So they got to run into FPX. Otherwise, FPX, as you just said, keeps them at arm's length. Important notes here, ladies and gentlemen. Get your book out, the same book where you wrote I Love Doinb, and ask yourself, as you write, does WE have a chance here? Because as we get the Munker on the Rift, close enough. I don't know what a Rift is, Lyric, but we're back on it, because FPX are one step away from moving to the championship.
And on paper, I really like what FPX have actually pulled out against WE's composition. I feel like it does have a good time of keeping them at arm's length. If they are able to get on objectives first, they're going to have a really good time of poking out WE before they can walk on objectives. For WE, we talked about closing the gap. It's going to be a lot about flanks, early pressure, as they're already putting someone crisp.
You know what? That's great, but a huge flay to stop missing, crashing down and giving Shanks time to get in. Chris holds his summoners in place, but his HP bar at half to start.
And remember, this man had massive flays in game 1 on this champion, able to shut down Shanks on the LeBlanc. Wouldn't be surprised to see him do it here again. For WE, I feel like you have the earlier setup in mid-jungle able to come through, being able to root down the Orianna and bring Beishang in, try and get that early prio, unlock the map with Realm Warps. I think you want to start making these plays up towards that top side. You do have the Wukong. We know Stone Skin passive is going to be really good up against the Jayce with all the AD he brings. Then at level 6, it's all about these all-ins that you are able to continuously force.
But I don't think Breathe really realized how much damage Nuguri has. That's a great start for the Jayce, and Breathe was talking about that Stone Skin passive, but it feels like Nuguri knew that he could win the trade.
Right, it's the way it's going to go. Breathe, trying to find the all-in early on, get in close range, get a close health trade, but then the ranged champion always going to be able to win out the trade on the way out from the melee champion, so Nuguri able to do that. Breathe, I think, does want to make this lane more volatile. Maybe not necessarily in that instance where you are overextending so much for a trade, taking so much minion damage as well, but in this top lane matchup, right, it's about Breathe comboing with jungle, and Nuguri, who's the one who early on is fine with it being an isolated island.
Or maybe Beishang looking towards mid first, because it does feel like the emphasis is on him as Breathe is getting bursted out. That's the X down one top laner for you. Breathe sent packing, and Tian walking up to the top side while Beishang couldn't get anything done mid. Oh.
Yeah, FPX doing a nice job so far. Breathe would have been dove if he did stay, so Tian gonna try and use this pressure to find Beishang, and he found him.
Peekaboo. But Beishang skips him completely. Great audacious charge. Gonna get the path laid out there, but Beishang now at half HP. Conqueror active. Shanks trying to stop Doinb here as mid laners have a tussle. Tian forces out the jungler. Viego versus Zin Lyric. I thought Zin was just meant to win that.
I mean, this just shows how much lanes impact the jungle, right? Nuguri able to find such an advantageous level 1 trade. I'm going to pause.
And
Nuguri now coming mid. Yep. Shanks not going to go down. Did have flash available. Did have his jungle on the bottom half of the map, as well as having phase rush. But, right, we see great level 1 trade coming out from Nuguri. Breathe getting a bit ahead of himself. Forces Breathe's health low. Able to turn that into an invaded jungle with Nuguri just pressuring with him. And we see all the moving parts.
Oh, he showed. Tian went outside the brush. He's going to be tagged. Audacious charges ready. W there as well. TP to save the day. Nuguri now joining the play. Breathe on the back end. As Beishang's half HP, FPX don't have numbers advantage. Doinb can't join. Nuguri jumps back in. Beishang still dies though. 2v3. Tian wants the reset, but he's stunned up by Shanks. Nuguri's on the run out to make it an only even trade, but teleport comes in. Doinb to stop the play. Nuguri has to help him as Shanks is in the middle of the brush. Gets phase rush, and Doinb on the escape path popped away. Breed jumps back in on the Orianna, but Nuguri getting low. Can't finish the job. WE, they've got another one to bite the dusters in the bottom lane. The LPL delivering. Flash over the wall. Crisp is dead. Lwx set in a 1v2. WE trying to come back in the series, but a 1v1. Lwx and Elk battle each other. Missing's left on his horse, but Rel's actually winning this with Gravitum there. Missing, can he do it? No. Lwx with a double and 6 kills in 5 minutes time.
And that was absolute madness everywhere on the map. I'm really surprised FPX. Okay, Hysterics, I'm going to stop because WE posturing for another one, but no, I'm too excited after all those shenanigans. FPX, I think the fact that they got a 1v1, 1-for-1 early on was quite nice. Doinb TPing in to save the play, though, I think was quite confusing as we come to the bottom lane. Things looked pretty well for W to start it off. Nice death sentence coming out from Crisp to lock down Elk, the exhaust to follow. Then the 1v2 does come out. Lwx flashing over, knowing he has the damage available. Conquer just about to be stacked up. And this is where I got scared, right? Health on Lwx was so low, but we don't even have time to talk about replays. Breed's getting dove.
Who needs a voice chamber at this point when FPX are diving 3-man on top of Breathe? Chris with the last bit of turret. It's a trade. Not too bad when Breathe was getting bullied under this top lane turret.
Not terrible for Breathe to get a 1-for-1 in a situation where he probably shouldn't have. Is still gonna lose out on this massive wave though, so Nuguri gonna extend his advantage pretty well. Already about a level up. Not quite sure how close Breathe is sitting to that level 5 mark. You'd assume pretty close considering it's already 6 minutes. But WE answering on the opposite side of the map. And Nuguri gonna be able to get away, so he is fine. Chris was in the wings and Lwx is here, so I don't think WE wanted to catch any of that smoke. Hysterics.
Nuguri is like the jungler. He's everywhere. He hasn't been in his lane for a while. 32 CS, even though he's winning out against the 14 CS. Breathe. Forget this point. WE are diving again. There's a Hex Splash, and Chris was under the turret. Lwx trying to survive at the death sentence. Doesn't connect, is missing. Takes up the turret, but here's Tian on the back end. It's a trade for now, and WE thought it was in the palm of their hands, but you're diving FPX.
Ooh, Chris almost going down. Elk tries to salvage it, but man, only FPX would you look at them and be like, okay, they have Aphelios, they have Orianna, but they're trying to match the aggression of WE every step of the way. Tian making his way down. Like you've highlighted, Nuguri just moving around the map so much as well. And seems like that's going to be the end of it for now, but as we know, straight back into another replay. 4 members strong, Lwx trying to finish off this wave, get some good damage down, but still locked up by 2 members. The Lantern doing quite a bit, and then Missing being so far overextended to start that dive off. It ends up with 2 members going down in the end anyway, and FPX coming out ahead, about 800 gold up now.
Okay, so let's talk about that gold a little bit before the next play kicks off, because I'm on my toes. It's been 11 kills, 7.5 minutes now. You mentioned that WE had to pull momentum in this game, especially towards the top side. Is this just a war of attrition? Is it the game about scaling here, and FPX trying to buy time and keep things as even as long as possible?
If FPX play, you know, perfectly in late game, I think their composition is definitely favored as the action just doesn't stop.
Tian 3-0. He's a big Viego. The fly. Crisp. That was beautiful. Once again, showcasing why Thresh for this man is a huge pick. Shanks walking back in, but you know what? Crisp is still around, and he has to back off.
What is the laning phase? We are laning it all here. I wonder what's going to happen if, you know, Western teams, if the Korean teams have to face FPX and they think, okay, we're ready. We've trained. We're strong in the 1v1s and the 2v2s because FPX just aren't playing laning phase at all. Nope. Crisp and Nuguri consistently on the map. Able to find another pick. WE gonna answer by going for a play on top side with the Rift Herald because how it would be in League of Legends, once you make a play, you know, you have gold, you're low on HP, you gotta make a reset, so WE gonna play off that reset window coming out from the side of FunPlus Phoenix.
And Shanks is here as well, right? 3-0 Ryze, I think something we haven't had a chance to talk about because amidst the chaos, it has been FPX pulling out the last couple of picks, pulling the gold lead ahead now as well. I want to point out that Shanks now has Realm Warp, and you did talk about how this Ryze can move to the side lanes, how he can especially influence that top side. Even with how chaotic it's been, he's going to have a bit more damage than expected in the early game, and his influence is going to be felt more than you'd expect in this early game too.
And that's something that's going to be able to be carried over into mid and late game, right? It's the fact that they do have solid 1-3-1 pressure coming out on the side of WE. The fact that you have this Realm Warp and this Global to either send Wukong to the back line or even Shanks using the Realm Warp himself to just, you know, TP in on Nuguri on a side lane, have the 2v1 available. When Shanks' TP is up, you're never scared of losing Baron. So a lot of potential windows able to come out from the lead that Shanks has built up with what he'll be able to do in side lanes. But I like what the Observer's doing. He's learned. He needs to keep his eyes on Crisp. You never know what this man's going to do.
Dude, Crisp, if he's in lane, okay, we track him for now. He's level 5 and he's starting to move once more. There's still a dragon up lyric. 10 minutes in, the dragon hasn't been taken. Herald was by the side of WE, which is great, but it does feel like the dragon is the next thing we need to talk about and set up who gets their first items. And who's going to start positioning towards it? As Beishang and Tian are both down here. Good dodge away. Tian actually a level advantage here. Heartbreaker's up, but so is the Crescent Guard. Shanks joining in the play, but Heartbreaker not going to be used. There's a huge shutdown while in the bottom lane. It's gone bad for FPX. Breathers into the back line, starts spinning to winning. Shanks with the Realm Warp, but they're grouped up as a 3-man. FPX don't have their jungler alive, and Breathe wants in for the second part of the play. Shockwave already used. And Beishang now has an open window to the bottom lane turret.
And we saw there what happens, right? When Shanks is able to move first, he was able to have Prio in mid lane. So Beishang and Tian going for that 1v1. It's not a 1v1. Shanks able to come forward. Doesn't matter if FPX's bot lane is able to turn first because they are just going to get collapsed on both sides. With what I believe was an earlier TP coming out from Breathe as well, it's going to turn into this Dragon for WE. So WE got first Herald. They're going to pick up first Drake, and they're not going to fall behind. They're not going to lose out to FPX in this one.
which is a good sign of life from WE when they're 2-0 down in this series. Dragon, Herald, as you mentioned, still needs to come out, and a 4-0 Ryze, where it started off with Tian thinking he can take a 1v2.
He felt confident because you can see his bot lane is able to move first, but Shanks coming on the opposite side, they're getting collapsed upon. The TP also channeled first by Breathe, so they are just going to be at a numbers disadvantage. Lwx taking so much punishment as well, trying to walk up and support his jungler, ends up going down. So really nice collapse coming out from WE. Teleports blown pretty much everywhere, so we don't need to expect any sort of like cross-map plays coming out anytime soon. But we do have a 2v2 on the top side right now.
We do. Beishang's here, still leveled advantage for Tian as Breathe goes in onto Nuguri. Remember that Nuguri still 86 CS. Almost got there to 64 up in that top lane matchup. But Lyric, I want to point something out. We have an Everfrost Ryze whose Realm Warp is almost up once again. Beishang going to tussle with Tian though. This has been happening all game long. Heartbreak is available. He takes it. Flashes for the Blast Cone. Now needs to close the gap. Beishang with a nice sidestep. Shanks is now on the way. Doinb saves him, but this is jungle yard bullying coming from Tian.
Yeah, you look at the inventories, right? He had Divine Sunder, no mythic item out yet for Beishang, feeling confidence that he's stronger. Also, just the map connection coming out from the side of FPX, because look at your mini-map. Chris was here in mid lane ready to follow up to where Missing still hadn't made his base yet, but we do see WE starting to make their way towards the top half of the map, but FPX have really good vision.
Oh, Tian is, sorry, not Tian, Nuguri doesn't know that Missing's there. Control Ward clears it out. Herald's actually used mid onto Shanks' lane and giving the Ryze an opportunity to get even more gold here in this matchup.
I think this is really good because you look at the side of FPX, Orianna and Aphelios, it's going to be really hard to break out this mid lane turret without Heralds being used. They recognize that. They want to get this one taken down early, not have to deal with it later on. And now they're just going to be able to start pivoting towards the bottom half of the map.
Death Sentence almost connects on top of Shanks. They're taking the Realm Warp anyway to the bottom lane. Lwx, he's been cornered out. They completely bypass FPX and snap down again. Lyric, you set up Shanks for these great Realm Warps. Once again, he's delivering.
And I just love how great we've seen Ryze utilized here in LPL playoffs so far, right? Because that one ability really does change the dynamic of the game. Not only being able to bring yourself, but being able to bring numerous members. As Nuguri has to be afraid. Breathe his ult.
The Crisp is coming up as well, just to buy time for now, it seems. This could actually turn into a dive if Breathe gets low enough, but Tian needs to be here, Lyric. What are your thoughts? You've only got a couple of seconds.
So that's why Nuguri's trying to heavy trade under turret, right? Trying to get Breathe low.
There's a Cyclone coming out immediately. Heartbreaker as well. Breathe with the second portion. Crisp almost finds it, but that's still a route down. Tian with the shutdown on top of the Wukong, and top lane is now open.
Let's remember that WE have just not cared about this champion at all in this playoff series, right? They've willingly given Viego over. They've been fine with the trade, but we've seen Tian do so exceptionally on it. We are going to see a trade side scenario come out. WE being happy and comfortable taking bot lane. Turret FPX answering on the opposite side. No neutrals up just yet, but with second Rift Herald coming up and first resets coming out from the WE bot lane, you'd expect that WE should be the team that are able to punish and take that topside Rift Herald.
Well, at this point, as it comes up, once again, Tian is going to be setting himself up by getting the red buff. Lyric in this game number 3, I love watching WE change it up once again and being adaptive. We already highlighted before how good of a position Shanks is in. FPX might have the gold lead, but again, we talk about WE bringing FPX within arm's reach. In the past couple of fights, that's what we've seen. And moving towards this next Herald, moving towards this next Dragon, I can feel a fight coming because of how WE have been able to set themselves up to get within that distance of FPX.
I mean, we saw Shanks' gold right before he went up the screen. 7K, 1K gold up anyone else on the map. This man is rich. This man is Mr. Monopoly right now. Does control everything going on, but FPX...
Chain corruption.
Yeah, really nice job. Nice job forcing out the flash from L. They do have mid-pride to walk into river, but Shanks doing so much damage onto Tian.
That's why we talked about the Ryze.
Ooh, W need to be careful. FPX have a really nice position, but I think W need to utilize this Rel to find the engage. FPX can't walk through a choke against Rel.
Yeah, you talked about it before. Keep them within arm's reach if FPX want to get WE, but Herald goes down. They're waiting for Beishang after the fact the shockwave comes in. They're not giving it up. They're finding the pieces to pick them apart. There's another kill going down and missing, and Shanks on the return. They need to get out of here because Tian has wind becomes lightning, but it does not become an audacious charge. Another one for FPX at the cost of the Herald.
WE were able to get the objective, so that is at least a win for the side of WE. And we saw there, right? If WE aren't objective first, it's still annoying because there's poke, but it's not like FPX can just hard force onto Herald or onto Dragon into you. They will just lose out. Breathe might have to expend a Cyclone or a Flash to get out of here. He definitely will.
Well, he might actually turn it because there's a teleport. In fact, make that double here as Chris sets up the box to slow them down. Double Cyclone, he flashes away, but Nuguri jumps on the first target as Chris changes direction in a quick instant. Shanks in the middle of everyone, trying to blast them, but a 5-0 Ryze gives his bounty back over to the super carry.
And it's unfortunate because it just seems like WE didn't have the timer on Nuguri's teleport. They obviously knew Crisp was there, so could turn around into a 3v2 play had they been mindful about that summoner able to come out. WE now, though, going to try and make sure nothing else can be taken on the top half of the map. Nothing available, though, so it looks like both teams are going for resets. But here's what I talked about, right? WE did a nice job of forcing FPX into this position by controlling both mid and top sides of River. So FPX can only play in this choke point. They can't walk into contest against Rel, but they do wait for this moment to find a small engage onto Beishang and at least find a bit of gold back. And then here, like I just highlighted, right? It's Crisp and Doinb against Breathe. I don't know what WE's thought process is here, if they think maybe they could burst someone down fast enough before a TP comes out, or if they just didn't have Nuguri's TP timer available.
Crisp has been on a tear this series. Once again, highlighting
2019.
that he feels like he's coming into 2019 form. That's exactly right. World form as he sidesteps the wind becomes lightning. Audacious charge there anyway. The flash from Beishang, there's no turret available here as TP to back up the play. It's not a caster curse if we close our eyes. Nuguri's going to batter him back as FPX have given up the trade, and gold goes back into Shanks' arms.
W have done a really nice job of at least finding these picks on sides when FPX are overextended. Sadly, nothing on the bottom side to answer for. They can try and get down some vision, but Dragon's not even close to coming up. Maybe they get some damage down onto that inner turret, but you look across the map, FPX getting, engaged on.
Missing's trying to close that gap you're talking about. Meanwhile, Herald in the bottom lane, that's an inner turret straight over to Shanks. Dude, this guy is literally... Who has a lot of money? That's Jeff Bezos in the bottom lane.
That is, I mean... You know, I'll be honest, I kind of like Mr. Monopoly more. It feels like he's a lot more of like a well-liked fella. You don't dislike Mr. Monopoly, right? But
careful what you say. We're streaming on Twitch here, Lyric.
I was going to say, but I wasn't going to follow that through, I'll be honest.
Please be
looking back to the Rift for WE, I mean, really nice use of Herald down in that bottom side. And now we're getting to a point, right, where Dragon about to come up in 2 minutes. I feel like that's where we're really looking at for the side of WE. My eyes are going to be on Breathe and Missing. I feel like they need to be the key ones to set up any sort of fight for WE to be able to come out ahead. WE don't necessarily need to fight the next Drake because it would only be the second one for the side of FPX. They can just keep looking to play out through their side lane pressure with the Ryze and the Wukong, which... probably is a better trade, but we're going to see, right? It's been an incredibly scrappy game so far, and it seems like neither team is shying away from the action.
22 kills in 20 minutes, to affirm your point there. FPX with the 2.5k gold lead still. But Shanks the person to watch now with the Zhonya's Hourglass and a needlessly large rod. In the bottom lane, you can see Elk is actually in a reasonable position too. 2.5 items here on the Lethality Varus that will poke down some of these shields. Tian, though, is a real problem. Look at the steal. Thank you so much. Good leash from WE to give Tian yet another objective. Lyric, that Dragon in a minute 20. And there's so much to talk about here with items, with players. I do feel like Doinb has been a bit of a silent carry, and in these next fights will obliterate if Shockwave hits multiple members.
I mean, he'll finally be able to start doing damage, right? Because we saw the earlier Shockwave's not able to do anything. For FPX going into this Dragon, they can rely on what we see now on our screens. If it stays to like a 3v3 or 2v2 mid, they will be the team that win contest over mid wave, so they can just walk into bot side River from mid. For the side of WE, they need to be looking to have Shanks push this out, keep Doinb up towards the top side to where he's able to move first, and then they're able to get that one. But it looks like FPX don't care about any more waves. Doinb TPing mid, and they're going to force onto this mid turret and force their way into bot side River.
It's very early though, right? 35 seconds, Breathe goes down, and You got to remember as well, Scuttlecrab has been secured, so they know FPX are hiding. The poke comes through in the teleport on the back end from Shanks. Nuguri keeping them at arm's length. Ladies and gentlemen, did you write it down in your books? Because even though Elk has his own poke, you got to watch Nuguri. You got to watch Tian in this case as well. WE is separated, and the shockwave on top of Tian. Absolute gorgeous synergy. Missing Lucky to get out, but FPX are back on the mid lane wave.
And this is where FPX thrive, right? In a lane with the enemies right in front of them, but Beishang
Attract a
looking for the
repel,
opportunity.
Realm Warp in the back line as well. There's the Wukong. Breathe has been portaled in, but Doinb and Nuguri have already gotten out. The Wukong not tanky enough. The Moonlight Vigil is everything, and the flame from Chris. FPX can't be stopped.
And the deciding game is where FPX step up. They find the ace, and they're going to take everything on the map. Mid lane turret, Dragon, and Baron. It feels like FPX are ready to go to Worlds. FPX are ready to rectify the mistake in spring, get back to finals, and try and take it all.
It was such a horrible 2020. They didn't make MSI. They didn't make finals of Summer Split. FPX in 2020 had one of their worst years since winning the World Champions. Yes, I know, it's only been a year. But ladies and gentlemen, the point stands. FPX are looking in world contenders form as they started this elongated fight with WE.
And they get a good amount of poke off. They do utilize ultimates, which is why I feel like Beishang feels like, hey, we go for this one. Tian a bit too far forward. They feel like they can get the pick. And then Breathe doing a nice job finding his way into the backline with the Realm Warp. But FPX are able to keep the distance, right? Some summoner spells are forced to come out, but the fact that they had those flashes, they're able to buy space. They're really good Moonlight Vigil coming out from Lwx, and they're able to kite out the fight. For WE's composition, this is why if you don't force a fight before the objective, it's really hard, right? Because I think in WE's mind, realistically, what you'd want to do is force a fight sooner, at least try to force flashes. Even if you die, it doesn't really matter, because you need the flashes on FPX's side to be down, so they can't do what they just did, where they kite out your whole engage, and then just have more damage, have more range, and have more zone control.
At least you're looking at 4 of those summoners being down, but FPX now with a huge gold lead, 23 minutes in, with Baron picked up as well. Mid-turret is just Lwx battering it down. The team that had that disappointing 2020 with 5 world champions, a Shockwave and Moonlight Vigil forces Elk to flash. It's looking good with the attract and repel set up by Beishang, the box as well. Lwx trying to get a dark passage, but he won't. That's the big pick to slow down the Baron power play and keep WE's hope alive of making this reverse sweep.
And it doesn't matter how much, copium or hopium we try to give to Lwx and his certain amount of fans.
Does the same.
Feels like these opportunities always come up for the enemies to find these picks. FPX aren't going to slow down, though. Do you feel comfortable still looking for this play? They need to be careful, though, because Doinb doesn't have ultimate. Realm Warp.
Okay, into the back line. Descends a little bit early on to Breathe. It's Doinb caught out against the wall with the shielding. Great Breathe, not doing enough work here, but Nuguri tries to take matter into his own hands. WE makes short work of him. Short work of Doinb. There are no objectives on the map, but it gets gold back into the pockets of those who matter most.
And they just punished an overstay coming out from FPX. I mean, your 80 carries down. I was just about to hit on, right? No ultimate for Doinb available on the Orianna. You have numbers advantage on the side of WE, and it doesn't matter that you're missing a lot of ultimates as well, because you have the Wukong ultimate and you do have more damage and consistent damage able to come out from the Ryze and the Varus. So Breathe gets onto the back line. We also see here Shanks able to lock down Nuguri, is able to go gold and buy time for that first pick to come off. And Breathe just bought so much time on the opposite side, also able to find that other kill on the Doinb. Everything just goes the way of WE in that fight.
So now we're going to wait for the next objective, see if WE can do it again. Because for WE, the miracle run is still not over. We've got a lot of storylines here, folks, and we're shoving them in your ears for good reason. There's been a lot of stories here in the LPL, as Lwx is out by himself once again. Lyric, funnily enough, another one of those stories is great team fighter, but gets caught out a hell of a lot. Equals Lwx, if you're wondering who I'm talking about. So there's a lot of narratives when you have players that have been around for copious amount of times.
You know, I also want to kind of talk about the stipulations of this for the loser as well, right? We've talked a lot about getting to the finals, but losing and having to face a team like EDG, I don't care if you're FPX, I don't care if you're WE, EDG's a team who on any certain day can be absolutely terrifying with the quality of their roster. We're getting another engage.
Onto Shanks as well. Good route down. Tian takes him, and that's a big death timer to play with in a 5 versus 4.
And FPX just hovering in river. I mean, WE's members knew where they were, right? They do have, looks like they have the Scuttle Relic if, you know, the 240p minimap isn't lying to me. But still, Shanks does get picked off, and FPX now going to force their way into the enemy jungle. Very close. Very
close. That could have led to the base being in even more tatters than it was. Minion Wave pouring in as well, and Breathe is just trying to get through his own jungle, but FPX own that too. And in 45 seconds, they'll be on Soul Point, Lyric. In a minute 40, that Baron feels like could be the last chance for WE to try and steal it away. Get a hero play here in this series. Coming into this, it has been practically one-sided. You know, WE have had a really good early game this time around. They've challenged the most momentous team in FPX. But the fact that FPX always managed to keep up, it's hard to talk about WE so fondly.
And I wonder if they're going to go for a contest right now, right? We already see Breathe up towards the top side, a reset coming out from missing. Looks like WE are accepting their fate, knowing, like, feeling how far behind they are, realizing they can't contest this Drake, but this is an Infernal Drake, and this will put them on Soul Point for an Infernal Soul, which, I mean, the poke coming out from Nuguri, I think especially, is going to be massive and hurt so much for WE. Still, WE are electing to go for the trade on the opposite side of the map. I feel like it's the right choice, right? Because you would need some kind of insane outplay or mistake to come out from FPX at this point to be able to take a fight. We see Aphelios on 3 items, Jayce incredibly strong, Orianna another item under her belt as well. And I mean, last fight, no member of FPX went down, and it was just a full ace for them.
It was 5-0. Much like the championships counter of Worlds on both these teams. WE never been. Folks, WE, this roster, has never been to an LPL championship as well. Imagine how close they can feel that title, that opportunity of a lifetime. Ooh. Kind of falling out a bit as WE on the bottom side of the map, but Baron's coming up, Lyric. 10 seconds, and you need to tell me what WE can do in front of this purple worm if they want to contest it at all.
So what they're going for is the right play, right? Because, again, they know they can't run 5v5 into FPX. They both have teleports up, so what they were hoping for is someone on FPX to answer waves in the bottom side, kill him, you both have TPs to go and answer a Baron play if it did come out. FPX, though, say, screw the bot wave, we're going straight to the Baron.
Means that WE only have 3 for now. Shanks and Breathe with the TP. When's it going to come out? Over the wall, Beishang wants to steal, but no. That smite left 5 HP, but it doesn't even matter. Missing set against the wall with the shockwave. Not enough damage until Lwx has his way. Shanks is pushing the bottom lane turret, but we have Baron recalls to stop him in his tracks.
You know, I just want to highlight surprisingly good damage coming out from L. Like, getting a lot done onto Crisp in that fight. Still not going to mean anything, right? Almost 10k advantage for the side of FPX. And you know FPX, right? They're going to be a team that wants to force. They're not going to wait this out for the next Dragon. They're going to push in mid and bot, look to get some of that pressure down. As the recall does finally come out for Shanks, so no pick-offs or shenanigans able to come out for them. And for WE, I truly feel like their only answer is the play we saw them try to attempt in bot side, is sending Breathe and Shanks down to that side lane, hoping to pick someone off, and then translating that into, okay, well, we have globals, we have teleports, let's try and find a numbers advantage fight. Without that, I think it is quite rough for them. But FPX have done a good job. They've been just staying as a 5-man most of the time.
And tracking the enemy Wukong on the other side of it, right? The deep vision that we've seen towards the enemy jungle always there. Doinb getting rid of a control ward over the wall as they push in. It's an inhibitor turret bottom side, inhibitor turret top side. Shanks is spotted out. And there are no deep wards that he can get behind FPX, so he's going to back for now. And Breathe, he was the one who put the control ward to get some of those flanks you're talking about, Lyric, so they could group up, so they could make an advantage of it. But it's completely denied, and FPX now might be caught out in the mid lane. It's Chris who gets poked down.
Ooh.
Elk hurts a lot, and Chris lucky to survive.
Yeah, Elk is the one thing that's anchoring them in this game, with the fact that he is able to put out this big damage. But I'm glad that this just showed on our screen afterwards, right? Because Nuguri able to answer that as well. If the push was able to continue, I was going to highlight the fact that if you look at the wards on our screen right now, there could have been potential flank angles for WE to find had FPX overstayed. So very good that FPX were able to get out of there and not be punished by Breathe, because Breathe 4-4-4 on this Wukong. Yep. Decently tanky, able to get a bit of damage down as well. But it does seem like FPX are going to scale it back. They are going to play for the more assured objective. Resets come off. Get some more vision down in the bottom side.
Shanks.
Jungle is Shanks.
Oh, he's so deep. He's the strongest member of WE. The rookie needs the carry, but the Realm Warp was on his. That don't work, baby. Thank you to Crisp. FPX now with a 5 versus 4. Doinb gets the shockwave, but it's just outside of range of Elk. Shanks giveth and Shanks taketh away.
Yeah, Shanks just walking in solo into enemy jungle. I assume trying to get some vision down in River, but we're still a minute and a half away from Dragon. And I'm going to stop talking about Dragon because FPX might just look for the aggression to end the game.
That was not a good ult from Lwx, but they're going to continue pushing forward with 5 members. Death timer on Shanks, about 20 seconds now. And the inhibitor opened on top of Elk. They're trying. FPX want to end this one, and they've got it with Beishang. He'll try and run away, but Lwx is following up. Chains of Corruption to disengage. Chris with a close hook once more. FPX can't end it here. In fact, Elk stepping forward to keep the game alive.
Elk doing everything in his power to keep this series going. The mental resilience, going 0-2 down, but still showing up to put up this kind of performance. Might even be enough to dissuade FPX from getting this Dragon. 30 seconds on the board. Nuguri still won't be up, and all members of WE are up. So walk through mid, clear out some of these supers, start getting some of your own vision down, give Breathe an angle to where he can threaten the members of FPX. As we see here, again, Shanks just walking by himself into the enemy jungle. Obviously didn't spot out anything when he threw his Q down. Didn't look like Tian was there yet, but wouldn't have mattered in the end anyway. Just gets punished. Again, I honestly don't believe Shanks has any reason to be there, and we are going to see here FPX trying to force mid. They want to end this game. They try to find the engage, but they aren't able to. But Hysterics, I don't care about what's on our screen right now, because we can see the posturing for Soul now on our screen. Let's go.
And he's going to steal. He's got it. Tian down as well. Smooth criminal. Beishang follows the death, and how Tian got that might be in the books.
He just walked in and smited it. That's all there was. And now for FPX, they can look for the end. They have numbers advantage. They have Soul, so big damage going to be coming out from Lwx, from Nuguri. The only thing they got to be careful about is Elk on this Varus has been doing work. He's the only hope they have left, but it looks so grim.
Oh, and Chris got a death sentence. Maybe the hope already gone here. His finals MVP soon to join them. 4 members of FPX with Nuguri now joining in. Forces missing the shield on up. Everfrost used by Shanks. He's doing a lot of damage, but FPX have blown another part of the base away. In game 3, Lyric, they're trying to put this one to a close.
Yeah, they're going for it. They have the damage available, but all 5 members of W are up. They can try to salvage this one.
One next target, 3-man shockwave. Super carry Doinb comes in once again. The Moonlight Vigil there, and you know what? FPX had a disappointing 2020, but now that they're on the Nexus, the FPX we know has had enough. First championship in a long time. First confirmed LPL team going to Worlds. First team confirmed for the finals. All we can say is FPX know the world is watching as the Phoenix has risen up again.
FPX so far undefeated in LPL playoffs, coming out from a first place finish in the regular split. They've been so vocal in interviews about this is their time, this is their split, and they did it. They've made it to finals. They only have one more obstacle left to overcome. EDG or WE, we're gonna find out who it is, but for FPX, this must feel so good. I am so afraid for every other team at Worlds. Not saying someone can't beat them, but this team in this form looks so scary.
They look amazing, and you saw a 3-0 against WE, who've been putting up a force against teams like EDG, the 2nd seed in the LPL. But FPX acted like a 1st seed here in this series and absolutely dominated Team WE. The man on your screen, that's the super carry that the world has to fear. Good luck, Europe. That's all I'm going to say as FPX return.
I want someone to show me the last bad game Doinb had. I want someone to actually go through all the, however, 100 maybe games we play per team and show me the last bad game Doinb's had, because I honestly cannot remember it off the top of my head. It feels like he always has an impact. He always shows up. Things were just really nice for them. This time around, FPX, they didn't shy away from the early aggression, right? It didn't matter that they had the Aphelios and the Orianna. We saw Nuguri consistently making his way around the map. We were joking that there was no laning phases in the first 10 minutes of the game. Crisp was absolutely everywhere in that first 15 minutes. And FPX able to come out either even or slightly ahead in these skirmishes, where later on they can rely on this damage or rely on this range, and they were able to bring it home.
You look at the damage, man. Doinb in the end, huge shockwave to finish us all up. Elk tried his hardest, but when you go up against an Infernal Soul, them the breaks. A 3-0. I mean, coming into today, I thought WE could pull up a game. I thought WE in this game were pulling that early tempo lyric, but I don't know, man. You just got to look back and say that FPX, every time WE tried to make a turn, they were right there with them.
They were, and just to jump to the